You see, guys, I recently talked to my mom on the phone and she said she has 2 weeks leave in a row and even more leave in the year. So I checked online, turns out EU has like 4 weeks of leave. She worked in a EU country. So it got me thinking, a Japanese leave is not that much. I mean, everyone knows it, I think. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. How much leave do people like me, salary man and salary woman, actually get in Japan? In fact, Japan also has the minimum leave. Well, it's not that bad as maybe in America, where you're not required to give any leave, paid leave to your employee. In Japan, there is a minimum paid leave that is given to each employee, which is 10 days from year number one. Well, once you finish university, once you get into the company, your first year in the company, you get at least 10 days. The problem was before that even though people would get the leave under different conditions like pressure from the boss, or they just feel like they shouldn't take the leave, people wouldn't take the leave. Basically, work without leave all year, and that would result in like overworking culture, which is, we all know, is like kind of terrible here. And so the government introduced 5 days that are minimum to take each year. At least 5 days out of the 10 days you have to use for your paid leave, go on vacation. I mentioned that some people would not take the leave at all, but frankly, in my case, I never experienced any pressure from anyone, my managers, my co-workers, of not taking leave. I was never looked like, "Ooh, why are you taking leave?" You know, like those videos on internet. No, it was always fine. In fact, no one even asked me a reason. From my first company, they said, once you want to take a leave, as long as there is no like super important meetings, you're not super busy that you cannot finish some tasks, you can just put it in your calendar, say I'm busy, say I take a leave. You don't have to give a reason. So this is expectation reality, and the reality was much better in Japan. And each year that you grow inside the company, you get plus 1 day minimum, plus 1 day of the leave. First year you'll get 10 days, next year you'll get 11 days, next year 12 days, and it lasts until you reach 20 days, which are kind of the max that you can take paid leave a year. So what is minimum in the EU is the maximum here in Japan. Sometimes companies can also designate special days. In my case, I have plus 3 days in summer to take from July to September anytime I want for like summer holidays. So in fact, I have 13 days total in my first year, and this year I'll have 14 days total. So it's not too bad. But this really depends on each company. So when you sign a contract, this is one thing to check with the HR, whether they have like extra holidays. In my previous company, we didn't have extra summer holidays, but we have very long, like 1 week long holidays on Golden Week and summer, and also maybe 1.5 or even 2 weeks on New Year. Another way that you get leave in Japan is through national holidays. It's not like a paid leave where you can choose your own day. So there are designated holidays in Japan, like birthday of the emperor, sea day, or a mountain day, and companies are not required to make it a holiday. You might have to actually work on that day depending on the company. In my case, we don't have to work, and a lot of like desk work, basically office jobs, they allow you to take leave on this day. It's like a designated holiday, which is counts separately from your paid leave. But it depends on the company. Like my previous company didn't allow that, so we had to go to work on the national holiday. But instead, as I mentioned just now, we had like very prolonged holidays on Golden Week or on the New Year's. So it sounds not too bad actually if you like count the every day, including the extra holidays, paid leave, national holidays. Maybe you'll get like 3 weeks total of paid holidays. But the problem is Japan doesn't really have sick leave as we understand it. Like you get sick and you call in a doctor and you get some kind of proof that you are sick so you can rest and get your pay. It doesn't work like that. So apparently you can only call in sick after 4 days of your illness, and this has to be documented by the doctor. If I get cold and it lasts like 1-2 days, I take this 1-2 days from my own paid leave, or I have to make it unpaid leave. I understand the system is meant to protect employers, because we all have that one friend who takes a sick leave but actually just doing his own stuff. But in case of Japan, I feel like it's a bit unfair, because if I get sick 1 day or 2 days, I just need a bit of time to recover, and I still have to use my own paid leave. So this paid leave I get, it disappears because sometimes I need to go to a city hall to like do some of my documents. Sometimes I need to visit a bank or post office, and every time I need to do some kind of like these small procedures, I might have to take a leave, and in case of the sick leave as well, and in the end I have not much left. So in currently my company, because I have work from home and a bit of a more free schedule, I can take maybe 30 minutes out of my schedule, 1 hour, go somewhere, maybe start working early or finish a bit early. But in my previous company, this wasn't an option. It was from 9 to 5:30 straight, and I couldn't do many things. Even the post office, everything was closed on the weekends, and I had to take like half a day leave, 1 day leave, just to go and send a parcel. This was really enraging. My leave just disappeared, and I also got sick twice. Once it was corona, once it was something else, because I think the stress got to me, and basically the leave is just gone and I didn't get to enjoy it. And this is a problem, one of the biggest problems. Another thing is that legally, first half a year, 6 months, your employee doesn't have to give you a leave. So leave actually starts on the 6th, 7th month after you started working at this specific company. Another thing is, most of the time when you change a company, you have to start from these 10 days of leave as if you just joined like a new graduate. Basically, each time you change a company, 10 days the first year, then +1, +1, +1 until you reach those 20 days. It can be especially off-putting if you're coming from abroad and you get only 10 days of leave as a senior specialist. I mean, this is the reality here, and something that you really have to know if you're planning to work in Japan. Because work-life balance, while it gets better, I really feel so, it's still not as good as like countries in North Europe, you know, different, very different. Please let me know what it is like in your country, and whether you think that Japan is actually doing well or not very well in this case.